Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
Yes.
Okay. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sid Partu. Joining me today is the one, the only, the realest of them all, the real Manos.
How's it going?
Oh, I think everyone's doing pretty well. So we're continuing fan film reviews today, and we have a request which Manos graciously gave up his pick so that we could accommodate. Manos, what will we be reviewing today?
We are doing a Amazing Spider-Man fan film. What was that one called?
The Web of Spider-Man.
The Web
Prologue.
of Spider-Man. So that would mean that this is a series.
Mm-hmm. This is the first episode in a series that they're obviously planning or working on, and that's very ambitious way to start things. I'll just say right off the bat, like a lot of people will float something out as an idea that could be a series, but this starts out very much planned to be a series, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah. I like that a lot. I guess that's very similar to the folks doing the Flash series. It's funny how ambitious and sophisticated fan films are becoming, to the point where it's not enough to just do 5 to 10 minutes. Now we can do a series. Mm-hmm. And get a chance to tell a story.
No, definitely. That's a really cool thing. And this is a take on Spider-Man that I am surprisingly intensely interested in after watching this, in a way that I don't think I would be had it just been described to me. Because I think the best way I can describe this, and this may be flattering or not flattering, is this is what everyone was afraid the Amazing Spider-Man films was going to be when the studio said they wanted a darker, grittier Spider-Man. And that's what I like. This has a lot more cursing. It's a lot darker in tone. Just the things that are being dealt with and showcased is a lot grittier, and that usually would not be something I'm interested in at all with Spider-Man. And I don't know, something about they've got a really strong direction and a pretty solid take on this that it just works for me.
I would agree with the way they approach it. I didn't hear actually I don't think I've done any kind of background checks on any of these fan films we're doing. So, I haven't heard them talk about it, but I think 5 minutes in, I kind of got it. I think these guys are trying to do a series based within the Amazing Spider-Man films. And that's actually a pretty cool idea, because I know a lot of people, have a lot of problems with those films. I like them. I feel like what's wrong with them kind of came from the studio, because essentially I like a lot what Mark Webb was trying to do. He was trying to tell a pretty specific story, and what I like about them was I was invested in that. I felt that was in the middle of these movies with all this crazy shit going around that they were trying to build and create their own Spider-Verse, and doing the same mistake that Universal made and everybody else seems to be making, is trying too hard too soon. And this is really interesting because now that the dust is cleared on that, this is a really cool chance to kind of sit back and do a fan film within that universe and kind of go from there and see what you can build and create.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that this is set in that universe just because they're retreading so many things that those films did. I think this is heavily inspired by that universe and going just a lot darker than that universe even felt comfortable doing. Like, it's a little crazy to see Aunt May hit Peter and then go drink straight out the bottle.
Yeah.
Like, wow, I was not expecting that. And at the same time, it's not unbelievable. It doesn't, like, make her a bad person. Her nephew is running out, getting in fights. It looks like he's in a damn street gang or something. And he's just acting up in school, doing all this shit. Like, from her perspective, she doesn't know what to do. This is, like, genuinely frustrating, and I could see that driving a surrogate parent to some pretty far extremes. It's not like she's an awful parent figure in this. She's just overwhelmed, and I really liked that approach.
I did not.
Okay.
At all. And yeah, it's a fan film. You can take these characters and do whatever you want with it, but you kind of, I feel like at least kind of being in the ballpark with the character, and I didn't see that frustration, that good person trying to hold things together and kind of cut and loose. I didn't see that, and that could be either fault through the writing or for the performance. But I all I saw was this kind of rough character.
Okay.
That I didn't sympathize with her.
You know, I don't know if I'd say I saw like a good parent who just doesn't know what to do. I just saw a person who's overwhelmed. You know,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily believe that Aunt May in this version is a really, really great parent in any other circumstance or something. I just saw from the thing I saw from it it's just a person who's overwhelmed and doesn't know what to do anymore.
Yeah, didn't she call him a bastard?
Yeah, something like that.
That's really, that's really not Aunt May.
No, it's certainly
I'm sorry.
not.
It's just
it is a very different take on the character, which I didn't mind. I thought it was kind of an interesting way to go.
And it is true. It's like, here's the thing, like, it's a fan film. They can make you a serial killer if they want.
There's the story that no one's had the guts to tell.
That's right. But, you know, I still have, you know, my own view of the character and my own take on the character, and I don't think it was done properly. I don't think they sold it right. I don't think it was strong. I don't think it was strong enough. What you're saying, what you saw, I would stand behind that. But I didn't see that character having trouble dealing with holding things together. I don't know. I didn't see it in the material.
Okay.
And if you don't mind me sidestepping over to Peter, I did not like this version of Peter Parker either.
Really, like at all, or
not at
particular?
all.
Okay.
About Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, I think this is what they were talking about, but it's Andrew Garfield is far more compelling and charismatic.
Mm-hmm.
And he's able to sell that, and his character was not as mean-spirited at all, nowhere near it, because you kind of felt for him, and he didn't go, I don't know, I don't think he was bitter to the point of this character. I don't think he was just unlikable as this characterization of Peter.
That's fair. I think that's very much what they're going for. I think they are going for like the kind of off-putting, jackass that knows he's smarter than you. Mm-hmm. And there were a lot of like little turns and stuff that I thought really worked. Like he's got the dialogue and the jokey Spider-Man stuff, but it's like it's so weird and out of place, and you can tell he's like putting on some kind of act when he's Spider-Man to try to just be different than Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like really cool because just the jokes that come out feel so weird and out of place, and that's honestly how it would feel if someone started joking during a fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, guys, they're skinny jeans. This isn't that big deal. Like that was shocking. And when he's like, you know, you can use this to squash the pumpkin gang. Sorry, I got a thing for puns right now. Like that, it just feels so unnatural compared to what the rest of this world feels like, and I think it stands out in a really good way because of that.
Yeah, I think those. Yeah, I think the humor, the way the jokes were kind of written, I think were jarring on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where like the bad guys are going, "What? What the fuck are you talking about?" Like that audible thud with each joke, but that's kind of what they were doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that, and as far as the way Peter himself is written, I don't know. Like I will say I don't like the stuff with Gwen. The stuff with Gwen feels very counter to the character we're seeing in everything else. This
Correct.
seems like a guy who's, especially with Aunt May, it seems like a guy who's pushing the people that care about him away.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's for their own good kind of thing, and that's something I can definitely see Peter Parker doing in basically any version, but it seems like he's pushing people away, and that kind of works for me, and I feel like Gwen kind of contradicts the shit out of that. But just, I don't know, like the way he's like really moody as shit, he doesn't talk to people, he doesn't engage with them, like he has this internal monologue where he's just super judgmental of others. Something about that, it's not the kind of Peter Parker I'd like to read in any of my comics or necessarily see in a film, but this is kind of the thing that I like about fan films, where they can experiment with these very wildly different characterizations, and it can really work for me. Knowing this isn't official, and I don't have to deal with this long term unless I want to, makes me like it in a way I wouldn't expect to.
Yeah, I understand that, and I agree with the philosophy of that. I don't think the material was strong enough to really support it.
Okay.
I just kept thinking, God, this guy's a douchebag. Like the whole time, like I can't get behind him. Like I can't I can't support this character. I can't I don't feel him. I don't sympathize.
Let me ask you a question then.
Yeah.
Do you think then he is written like a fairly realistic teenager?
No.
No, because I think teenagers are kind of jerks sometimes.
Well, he's a jerk, but I mean, just being a jerk doesn't make him realistic. Much like Superman versus Batman, Dawn of Justice isn't more realistic because they're all jerks.
No, I'm just saying, like as far as kind of moody teenager stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, just being generally unlikable in certain ways. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a trait of some, angsty teens.
It is, and it's totally valid to do that interpretation. We've been talking about the Amazing Spider-Man, which is obviously a influence on this, and I think that did that well.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mark Webb and Andrew Garfield did a really good job, kind of cornering that type of characterization on Peter. But you gotta. Peter is still at his heart a decent kid, a humble kid, and I don't know, there's just so much you can bend on a character before it breaks and becomes a different character.
Okay. That's fair, and I could see this, I can totally see why some people, or maybe a lot of people, will not like this characterization. For me, I'm just interested in it, the thing I like about it is how experimental and how bold a take that is. How well it's executed, I am a little wishy-washy on, because again, I feel like they're trying to show you that he's still a good guy, he still has a heart, via Gwen, and I just think their scenes are the most awkwardly put in, and it just feels tacked on. That's
the problem using that, is their relationship has no chemistry whatsoever. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of hard to see it in that. I can actually see through the writing that's the attempt, and that's what they're doing, and that's what the design is. But the execution is just not kind of laying it out there.
All right, well, let me ask you this. Since they plan, obviously, to make this a series and keep working on stuff, do you think you'd want to watch more of this, or do you think that this is an interesting direction for someone to play with, but not one you're interested in personally?
That's a good question. I would be willing to watch more of it to see how they develop it. I mean, I know I'm kind of being hard on it, but look, if you're making art and if you're making Spider-Man fan films. Like, you're a friend of mine, even if I don't, like the end result. Yeah, I'd be, and plus, I'm curious to see where they take it. Mm-hmm. I like a lot of the seeds they plant in this one.
I love what they do with Harry Osborn. Like, that is fucking terrifying, and I love it. You? No? Yes, no, maybe so?
And that's another example why, like, this is obviously the Amazing Spider-Man, Harry and Norman, because Norman's, like, fucking dying in bed. And, oh, sorry, can you hear that?
Yeah, give it a sec. It's good now.
Sorry about that. Oh, yeah, I live on a road where everyone has a charger.
Anyway, you were saying about Norman's, like, dying?
Yeah, Norman's dying, and this guy, his son's insane. Giggly, comic booky, over the top. Joel Schumacher, Batman, insane. And maybe it's a little too much for me.
I don't know. For me, I really liked I like the fact that unlike Amazing Spider-Man, I buy that Harry's already kind of crazy. Like, in Amazing Spider-Man, it felt a little lazy the way that they had Harry kind of, like, be obsessive, and they had to use the whole, like, disease thing as an excuse to get him to a certain place, where, as in this, like, he's this guy who's just never going to be good enough for his father, and so that makes him just such a, like, unyielding ass, and he's kind of already crazy because of just the way in which he was raised. He had no choice but to be nuts. I kind of like that, and it really makes me curious about what they're going to do as far as turning him into Green Goblin or Hobgoblin or whatever they're going to go with.
Well, that's one of the things I'm interested in this project, is the fact that Mark Webb really never got to finish what he was trying to do with the Amazing Spider-Man universe. And these guys are kind of taking that universe, or at least being inspired by it, or whatever, however the take is, and kind of seeing where they can go with it. And I like that. It almost feels like somebody is kind of like taking the reins and finishing it, even if it's unofficial, which is fucking cool. I like that idea.
Yeah, I agree. A couple other things I want to make sure we talk about is some of the visual side of stuff. So, I don't know what it is for me. There are certain things that just click, like Batman having spiky shoulder things that don't really make sense.
I hate those.
I love those. Or Batman having, like, really long ears. Just something I can never explain why. It's totally impractical, but I love it.
That I love.
Yeah. Dude, something about Spider-Man in a hoodie just fucking works for me. Like,
me too.
It doesn't matter who it is. I fucking love Spider-Man in a hoodie.
I don't know why it works. Look, I mean, we got the Ben Reilly Spider-Man, the Gwen Stacy Spider-Woman. It just, I don't know, it's just it looks cool with that costume, and it just does.
Yeah, same. It's just like, I don't know what it is, so like seeing them do, for the majority of this fan film, Spider-Man in a hoodie is cool. It really works. I also like just how fucking beat up Spider-Man looks, because, like, Batman's usually the only superhero you see get, like, covered in bruises and scars and stuff. Mm-hmm. You don't get to see that a ton with a bunch of the other characters, and so to see that with Spider-Man was kind of cool. Especially, like, he's just, before he goes out, he's fucking rapping his knuckles to go fight, because, yeah, he's super strong, but his skin still breaks when he hits stuff enough. That's really cool. A lot of the visual stuff, just design choices, I was reasonably happy with for what's obviously their budget. Even the way this is shot is really, really good. The stuff shot on green screen stands out a little bit much. I'd say should maybe spend some more time working on color correction to make it just seem more natural with the lighting based in the scene, because things are just a little too bright for the background, stuff like that. But otherwise, like, the stuff that's shot live looks pretty good. Sounds all right. I can tell there's a little bit of ADR, which is totally understandable for a project.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgive it with that kind of thing. I always look past that. I would also agree. Yeah, I think the green screen. I believe, particularly, there's a scene between. I think it's the cop and Spider-Man on the rooftop. Looks kind of a little not great. It stands out. To the point where you think, like, oh man, maybe they should have just went on a rooftop and shot that. But I don't know. Maybe the conditions weren't correct. For that.
I will say one thing about the editing for that scene in particular, just because this is just a really basic filmmaking thing. But like, so you have the scene where Spider-Man meets Gwen Stacy's dad and all that stuff, and then like it cuts to the Statue of Liberty, like this really cool like drone or helicopter shot of the Statue of Liberty and New York City in the background. And like, as far as film language goes, what you just told me is that they met on top of the Statue of Liberty. And I don't think that's what happened, or that's what they were trying to say happened. I think they just threw that in there because they had access to, or they were able to get footage of, a cool shot of the Statue of Liberty with New York in the background. And that's fine to do. It's just, it's like, that's a kind of visual language in filmmaking that you want to be careful about how you're using.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, it just worked as an establishing shot.
Because
that's pretty nitpicky. I don't want to get too hard on that. It's just something weird that I like kind of did a double take on.
Yeah, when I first watched it, I was thinking, like, is this a drone shot or is this stock footage they're using? And I determined that I feel like it's stock footage they were able to use, which I think is a little jarring, but I think does a pretty good job as far as like making the film look a little bigger.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
And I believe that was probably the intent, and it works. With the exception of what you just mentioned, it kind of like unintentionally becomes a incorrect establishing shot.
Yeah.
But that's just shit you can just learn as you go.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I did like a lot of the city footage. I don't know if it's stock or if they got it themselves or something like that, but I quite liked the way it was integrated for the most part. Something else I was really impressed by, and this is always such a silly thing to talk about, but it makes them feel so much cooler. Great location scouting, guys. They got scenes in a hospital. They're in a school. Like the warehouse looks pretty good. I don't ever feel like I'm in somebody's room unless I'm actually supposed to be in someone's room.
Yeah, it does look cinematic. That was kind of one of the first things. There was just simple bits with him very early on in the bathroom, checking his wounds or something like that. And, that looked really good. That looked really solid.
Yeah, and just other little stuff. Like, I love that he goes into his school bathroom, webs the door up so no one can walk in on him before not only does he change in there, but he plans out his day. And I like to tie it back in with the story a little bit more. I like that he's smart enough to realize that what the place they're robbing isn't the actual goal, it's a distraction. That was pretty cool. Also, we didn't bring this up, I really like the super techie Peter Parker. Something about that's working for me.
That did too. I didn't want to bring that up. I do like the plan that he... I was still kind of iffy if Peter would do this, but I do really like the clever idea of him giving the cop the information on the thumb drive, and it has a back door that he can actually now look and use that to take a look at like police files. I thought that was very cool.
Yeah, I did too. I will say...
I don't know if that's what Peter Parker would do, but I liked it all the same.
Yeah, I will say I liked it. I do think it could be used in a really interesting way story-wise, and I don't want to influence them with this idea since they are making a series out of it, but if I'm gonna step into predictive land and see if I end up being right.
Awesome. Film theory right now.
Yeah. It'd be really cool if the back door ends up backfiring on his ass. And, like, he got too cocky thinking that he was the shit and he could hack the New York City Police Department, and it ends up backfiring and causes him a lot of problems in some way, shape, or form.
And backfiring, not just being caught, but having the information fuck him up.
Yeah, something like that would be really, really smart writing, and so I think they may be setting that up. Maybe I'm giving them too much credit, or maybe I just gave them a really good idea. We'll see how that
The
goes.
world may never know. But
Yeah.
that does sound like something very Spider-Man-y, where he kind of experiments and gets a little cocky, and then he fucks up, and then he pulls back.
Yeah, yeah. I do want to talk about one other thing visually, though, before we get too far away from that again, and that is, I'm of two minds on doing the webs. I'm almost 100% sure digitally. I like the idea because it creates nice, fast, quick web action in live action, which is good. I don't love that it is 100% digital as it stays and continues in the frame. I like it when it's shooting and moving. I don't like it when it's stopped. In particular, one shot in the warehouse fight, which we should talk about just the choreography of too, but in the warehouse fight, when he ties up the dude's legs with the webbing, it looks like it's... I swear I can see the keyframing motion tracking of the webbing around the guy's legs. And so, in stuff like that, shooting it out, getting it on the person, I think is totally fine to do digitally. I would recommend, just as someone that has worked in the past with visual integration, digital effects, all that stuff, I would recommend mixing it up and adding practical effects. Go ahead and have it shoot digitally, but then have a practical prop of some kind of webbing or something that you can physically put on the person. That will pay off really well. It's that idea of mixing your effects and styles. The more ways you do a thing, the more methods you take to do one kind of thing, the better it can end up looking because it takes your eye longer to understand what's happening.
Yeah.
And it becomes very effective in that manner.
Because you don't know, because your mind keeps going back and forth. Like, is this CGI or is this practical?
Yeah.
That's one of the things that worked in Force Awakens. Yes,
exactly. I highly recommend, mixing it up, integrating both ways. If, as far as what to use, I know we talked about another Spider-Man fan film, and I'm pretty sure they just used hot glue in molds and let it set, and then kind of put it on. And it's going to take more clever, crafty kind of cutting your shots and everything, and that might break up the pacing of your fight scenes, but I do think it's worth the time to consider and work around those options. But what did you think of the warehouse fight scene?
I thought it was... I had mixed feelings on that one. I liked the... I don't know. Did I like the tone of it? Maybe I didn't. I was going to say I liked the tone of it because it felt very, I don't know, maybe a little too Batman v Superman warehouse fight. Actually, my biggest problem really so much was some of the shots in the cuts during the fights and the attacks and hits and blows and the dodges and all that stuff. Some of that didn't seem tight enough.
Okay.
It looked a little sloppy. I'm seeing some guys play around and not be in a fight. And that's something that can just simply be corrected with just simple
blocking,
smart blocking. With smart blocking and quick edits, you can make any crappy fight look good.
Yeah, I agree with that. Also, don't be afraid to use it. The speed it up just a little bit, not double the speed, just a little 2 to 3% increase in speed of the footage in the editing can really help make things just pop a lot faster on screen.
I would say so. Fast-paced fights are always better.
I liked a lot of the moves that they had, particularly the choreography with the backpack. I don't know, just something about Peter Parker, the bullied kid, fighting with his backpack is really cool to me. I really like that. The other thing I like, and this is, I guess, more story related, but it's just cool to see Spider-Man's powers kind of... Like, Spider-Man's kind of nerfed here compared to what he normally does. Like, this Spider-Man's super strong, but he ain't picking up cars. There's no way this guy's picking up cars. Like, 2 to 3 guys can hold him down.
Yeah, I thought about that too, yeah.
That I really like. That this is, like, he's a really strong Spider-Man, but he's not, you know, Superman-level strength or anything near it. He is like, strong... He's the strongest a human could possibly be, kind of thing, and I like that.
You know what? Also, God, I was watching it, and I had these 2 images in my head of the fight scene. I was thinking about, I already mentioned Batman versus Superman, and I also was thinking 1978 Amazing Spider-Man TV series. It's like it was a blending of the two, like the tone of BVS with the practicality and, you know, what you see in the old Spider-Man show. It felt like that Spider-Man. Like he's like that Spider-Man was super strong too, but he wasn't as strong as, like, you know, comic book Spider-Man or MCU Spider-Man, or Sam Raimi Spider-Man. Because Spidey's really tough. He's really
definitely
strong. So yeah,
you've got a metal arm that is so cool.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. Nothing makes me happier than that moment, because, like, all throughout Winter Soldier, he's scary and kicking people's ass, and everyone's afraid of him. And then that happens. Like, totally. Man, that movie could have ended 2 seconds if Spider-Man was in that movie.
Right. Okay. Well, I got everything I wanted to talk about with this one out of the way. I'm definitely subscribing to this channel. I'm curious to see which direction they're going to go, or how this is going to proceed, what they've got planned out. This is a tone which, again, if someone had just described it to me, I would have said, no, that sounds awful. They're hitting something with me that makes me, at the very least, very interested, if not super ready to get some dark and gritty Spider-Man down. But, you know, to each their own.
Yeah. I really admire what they're trying to do. In kind of creating their own universe inspired by the Amazing Spider-Man. So it is feeling like them carrying the torch for that, and I do like that a lot. There's some really interesting ideas and techniques they're doing. If I seem really hard, I'm sorry on it, but I am a big Spider-Man fan, and this is not an approach to the character that I particularly subscribe to or enjoy, even though it's totally fair and that, you know, they take this route. It's just not one I particularly enjoy. It would have been helped out if some of the acting and writing was a bit stronger.
Okay,
because look, that can always sell a darker approach, like always.
Okay. All right. So your recommendation would just be try to, like, tighten the script up just a little bit, kind of thing, then?
Yes. Okay. And let's see, we already have these actors, so maybe they just need to have some time to kind of get some chemistry together. Mm-hmm. And also, yeah, just don't forget the heart of the characters, even if you're doing it dark.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's fair advice. Genius Films, thanks so much for requesting a review. That's, like, I think only the third or second time that we've had a direct request from a fan film creator, so I really appreciate it. I love featuring these, talking about these, you know, both the good and the bad about them. It's a great way to get introduced to new material. So Genius Films, thanks a lot for requesting it. Thanks for making a fan series for us fans. Hope you enjoyed the review. Hope you don't hate us to death now. All right, so let's go ahead and go into ratings real quick. I'm going to give this I'm right on the edge, so I'm going to give it kind of a weird score. I'm going to give it 3.75 out of 5 high school bathroom doors that have been webbed shut.
I am going to probably subscribe to these guys. I'm very curious. Despite everything I said, I'm very curious to see where they take this. With that said, I am going to give it 3 out of 5 spider hams.
Nice. All right. So, Manos next week should be very interesting as we're not really breaking from form because it's been filmed, but it's not technically speaking a fan film. It's a fan musical stage play.
Oh my god.
Yeah. This is called Twisted by Team Starkid, The Untold Story of a Royal Vizier. This is a kind of mesh of Aladdin and Wicked.
Oh boy! Wow.
Yes. It's 2 hours and 15 minutes long. So
Oh boy! Here we go.
yeah. Should be a good time. Everyone, hope you join us there for that next episode. Until then, I'm the Philosopher,
and I'm the Realist,
and we are your geeky gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.